How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the channel. Today I'm going to be working on my scionxb. It's my everyday driver, and I'm going to be installing Sound Shield. I have two tubes here that I need to install in the car. Helps with obviously the noise levels in the car on my drives. I do drive to California quite a bit, and this should make my drive a little bit more enjoyable. But before I get into that, if you can do me a huge favor, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. We're still doing the 1,000 subscriber merch giveaway. We're at about 920 subscribers, so thank you so much to everybody that's been subscribing and watching the videos. Really do appreciate it. Also, don't forget to follow our socials on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Links are in the description below. I do post a lot of stuff that does not make it here on the YouTube channel. I want to give you a quick backstory on these two tubes of Sound Shield. These were given to me by my good friend Richard over at Sony. His truck was used in the first year back where SEMA took a break for the SEMA show, 2021. He was in a booth, and this was some of the items that were on display. And honestly, for the vendor, they just said do whatever you want with it, and Richard knew I was going to be doing some stuff with this, you know, a couple years later. kind of cursed with XBs, being stuck with one. And he says, hey, have some sound deadening here if you need. I'll just give it to you, because for him to haul it all the way back to Texas and just have it sit on his shelf, he's like, it wasn't really worth his hassle. So he's like, just have it. I said, sure. But yeah, we're gonna go open this up, take a look at the product, and go from there. This opens up on the top. Really easy tube. Let me put the camera down real quick. Have the product out of the package. If you're interested in getting this stuff, I'm not sponsored by them or endorsed by them, but that's soundshieldusa.com, and there's their social media links. So this stuff is pretty, not light, not heavy. This whole roll weighs maybe 4 or 5 pounds just by holding it, which isn't bad at all. I remember the old school days of sound deadening way back in the early 2000s, late 90s. This stuff was really heavy. This isn't bad at all. Very, you know, flexible, very easy to manipulate. So to install this is pretty straightforward and simple. All you do is, if you're doing it behind the doors, take off the door panel, see what you need to do, see what areas you want to cover, and you lay this stuff down. It has an adhesive backing, and then you lay it down as clean as you can and trim off what, you know, any excess and all that. So pretty straightforward and simple. I'm probably gonna alcohol wipe certain areas, because behind door panels and different areas of the car, it does get greasy, and I want this stuff to adhere as much as possible. So I do want to clean the surface behind it. So yeah, let's get this going. So for the scionxb, there's really not much to this to take the front door panels off. I literally have just a Phillips and a flathead if I need the flathead. I shouldn't need anything else. It's really simple and easy. All there is screw here, Phillips here, a Phillips down in here. This can be popped out later, and you'd want to take the triangle pillar piece off right there. It's just the clip. Just be careful when you do it. These cars are very simple to take apart. They're straightforward and easy. The only thing is you just got to be a little careful. I've been doing this for a very long time, and once you get the two screws out, there you feel along the bottom on the door panel, there is a little bit of a gap underneath here. I don't know if you can see it with the camera. Right here. You just put your finger behind there and gently pull back, and the door panel will come out. Outside that, there's just the clip for the harness that goes to the power window and the door lock. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that done real quick, and I'll check back in. And quickly, I did forget to mention that there's one clip here that popped out, not damaged or anything. So the clip just popped out, flew off, and we're good there. It's right there on the floor. Again, you want to be careful when you yank on it. When you disconnect this wire harness, be very careful. This car is now over 15 years old, so the wiring may not be at its best right now. So yeah, but I'm gonna go ahead and lay the lay the material over this. I'll probably take this off right here, which is the bracket for the door handle. Take that off, move some stuff out of the way so I can lay the material, or I could cut, trace, and just lay material where I want. But I'll probably just do one flat sheet and just work my way around it. So after peeling everything back and taking apart the bracket for the door handle, there's a couple ways you can do this. The most preferred method is the most painstaking method, which is the way I'm not gonna do it because I don't have the material to do it, is that once you remove all this and you remove the door speaker, you're gonna need to drill the rivets out that hold this in and have screws to be able to remount this. So before you do this install, make sure you have all that ready to go. I have a couple self-taps that'll make this work, so I'm not worried about it. Again, back to the different ways people do it. The most professional, really nice way people do it is that there's this clear tape that doesn't really stick too much that you lay over. So you form over all the shapes and you mark off with a marker every bolt, every hole, everything there. And you take that tape and you lay it onto the sound deadening material, and then you from there cut all that out, and then you cut and you can use that as a template to lay one nice sheet all the way across. So you pretty much cover all the holes and everything there. That way works really, really well, really nice. But I don't have that tape, so kind of stuck with that. So I'm thinking I'm just gonna do sections at a time. Just do my best to cut nice clean sections and just put it all together. I mean, it still all works all the same. What a lot of people do is they cut squares that they install inside the door panel as much as they can, as they can. There's some of it here already from the factory, so a little more wouldn't hurt. As you can hear, really thin. It's a Scion, so might put some squares there and then just lay sizable piece to cover each section and try to get the shape and cover all that, and go from there and just mark out and just razor out where all the clips and everything are for everything else. The only thing that I can think of that may become an issue is when I put the harness back, there's a plug here that goes in where the harness goes here and kind of ducks down and goes in. Probably need to punch a hole or do something to do that, and it is what it is. Sometimes people ask, well, if you make one giant piece and you cover everything, how do you get to servicing? Let's say you got to change the door handle or put the windows, right? You have to do all that. At that point, you kind of just chop it up as a loss and you just cut a hole. There's ways to go work around that, is where you can make a cover piece where the stuff goes over. But this is a daily driver. This is a scionxb. I'm not going to get too heavily into that. That's a lot of work for something I just want to make a okay improvement on. That's way more detailed than it needs to be. Not on this car. So maybe on a future project, but this car I just want to make it simple. So I'm probably just going to cut sections and just start kind of Tetrising together those pieces. Cut some squares here, or rectangle-ish squares of Sound Shield to put inside the door panel here to cover some of the area inside here. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that real quick. Clean this up a little bit so I could put some in here too. Probably not gonna go all the way down. I'm just gonna put just some to cover some sections just to help with the resonating inside the door panel. So yeah, give me a second. So those squares I just cut up, I just did a quick job putting this in, just laying it here for any resonating sound. I'm obviously going to go over everything again, on the top layer. But yeah, this stuff sticks real easy, works real easy to work with. Just clean the surface before you start working it. That way there's no grease or anything to prevent the adhesive from doing its job. So now I'm gonna bring some bigger pieces over and start working on all this. And I still have to drill this out. Yes, I know this is not the cleanest job ever, far from, but I wanted to, you know, get this up and going. So this is one giant piece here, another small piece there. I know the cuts aren't clean, is what it is. Don't really personally care. It's just to get it done, so not too worried about it. But yeah, everything is, I just gotta put everything back together and then start on the other side, which is pretty much the same thing, but I'll go ahead and document that for you. Depending on how much material I have left, I actually do want to pull the carpet back and do some of the floor. That'll definitely help a lot in terms of the road noise. So that's some of the stuff that you hear. So hopefully I have enough. Used a good amount just to do one door. So off the first roll, I have maybe about half left. I have about half left. So one roll does, you know, it's approximately two front doors. So gotta ration and figure it out. This side personally came out a lot better because I already had a better idea what I'm doing. Obviously there's a little bit of a gap hole here, not much I could do about it because this needs to stay without any tension. The door lock tends to stick, so this being free is important to me. I know there's a little bit of a hole here, a little bit of a hole here. Not too much I could do about it. I could maybe put another strip back here, but it's not really going to do much. But overall, the shape, everything, I didn't have to trim and waste as much, so everything here is good to go. I need to put the door panel back together. I might tear the carpet back to see how much what's underneath everything. It's been a while since I looked underneath, and kind of see if I want to dynamite some of the, not dynamite, but sound shield some of the floorboard to help with some of the noise reduction. But overall, let me show you on the other side of what I mean by how this sounds. So I don't know if the camera can pick it up, but if I knock here, it's kind of sounds like a real thin here. Much more dense sound. That's because of the sound shield helping with insulation, so that's gonna definitely help with road noise, I think. I'm not gonna completely block it out. This is in fact a giant box on wheels going through the wind, or so it's gonna make noise regardless up in these areas, but at least it'll help reduce some of it, which will help quite a bit. But yeah, I'm gonna keep going and kind of go from there. Gotta put the door panel back on. Obviously this is the start of doing the audio install, but I want to do this for today and keep moving along. All right, I pulled the carpet back enough and cleaned up underneath here. It doesn't need to be a perfectly clean because there's stuff and residue stuck. It's fine. The stuff's gonna lay down and gravity will help it set. So ideally, I'm gonna cut strip delay there and then piece delay here. The grommet here is missing because what I want to do is lay it down and then trim around it, and then put the grommet back in. So they still have this access point in case I need to do anything later with the car. But yeah, I'm gonna lay that sound deadening here. It should help with the road noise underneath the car. This car, again, has a lot of road noise. So it's just, it is how the car is. So any little bit of improvement I can get, the better. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and do that and keep going. All right, this took me all but 10 minutes, including pulling the carpet back. So one giant sheet here, had a smaller strip there because I wasn't sure how I was going to attack it, and then also have a smaller piece there. So this is where we're kind of at. I might cut some small pieces with some leftover material when I get to the other side because I want to conserve as much material as possible. So scrap pieces I'll use to fill in all this little areas over here. So spent a minute pulling the trim panels out and seeing what's here. It's pretty much just like the other side, so I'm going to do the same thing again. I'll probably do just one giant sheet this time on this side. I don't have pedals or anything in the way. Just as a word of caution, when you're pulling the carpet back, don't just yank on it, put your hand underneath and push the carpet up gently. Again, as a 15-year-old car, and this kind of carpet tends to be a little brittle. This right here is probably gonna crack when you take it out. I'm not too worried about that. It's just styrofoam. It's not really doing anything but holding some shape to, I guess, how they want to engineer where your feet go for ergonomics. I'm not too worried about that again. So I'm going to take this carpet, tuck it back, and then just measure and make one giant piece to lay in here. Make it nice and simple. So I did this side, took me all about 5 minutes. Lays in real nice, one giant sheet. Simple and easy. So I'm going to go ahead and put this back together and show you what it looks like reassembled. Just looks like OE again. Obviously I'm missing the styrofoam piece, not a big deal. My first XB didn't have it either. But yeah, this should help with the road noise and all that. All right, this interior is back together. So doing the sound deadening today is done. So you see here, everything's back in, nothing out of place. Again, always double check that you plugged in all the harnesses and everything for the window switches and everything for on the doors and speakers. Because the last thing you'd want to do is turn the car back on and start driving and you have no sound, or you can't roll a window down, or if you had the window down you can't roll it back up now. I know that I could have done a better job on the sound deadening on the doors, but it's good enough. It's better than what it was before. So yeah, outside that, this concludes today's episode. Thanks again so much for watching and following me along this project. If there's anything else that you'd want to see me work on or do, please leave it in the comments below. And yeah, this is part, I guess this would be part 2 of my stereo install. The first thing I did was swap this out, but have some more stuff to install. Until next time, you guys take care. See you on the next episode.